Welcome, YouTube, to another episode of the PJ Hoop Podcast. I'm your host, PJ, and on today's episode, we'll be covering the Atlantic Division. We'll be closing out the Eastern Conference with this one. So today I'll be covering the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, the New Jersey Nets, the Toronto Raptors, and the Philadelphia 76ers. So if you're this is your first time checking out my podcast, so what I've been doing the last about 3-4 weeks now is literally going through every team in the Eastern Conference. Starting next week, I'll be doing the West. But so far, what I've been doing is literally giving a season preview of every team in the Eastern Conference and going over 5 topics per team. And those 5 topics, if you're curious, is the contract situations on the team, the draft capital on the team, players to watch, or at least players that I'm going to be keeping my eyes for to be watching out for this season. Also my opinion on the team, and then also the team's floor/ceiling, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to iterate it throughout the video, but with the team's floor/ceiling, I'm going to be very vague in my answer, and that's simply because at a later time I'll be doing an episode where I give my actual season predictions. So I don't want to give away any of my predictions while I'm giving you guys the team's floor and ceiling. So just keep that in mind as we go through every team. Next episode we'll be diving into the Western Conference, so stay tuned for that next week when I go into the Western Conference. So we're just going to dive straight into it. We're going to start off with the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics last year obviously won the NBA title. They finished 64-18 in the Eastern Conference. Offensive rating finished first. Defensive rating finished third. And now I'm going to go over their contract situations with you guys. So they're over the first and second apron, as we assumed. Starting next NBA season, Jason Tatum's extension will be kicking in. Al Horford at 38 only has 1 year left on his deal. I'm assuming this is probably going to be his last year in the NBA. Yeah, I'm thinking this is it for Al Horford. They also got a restricted free agent in Jared Springer. He's a restricted free agent next summer. Luke Cornett, their center big man, he has 1 year left on his deal. His name is Emis Quinte. I think I pronounced his name wrong. He's a big man too. He has a non-guaranteed contract for next season, and that's about it. Their contract situation, that's about it. Not really much there for Boston. That's their contract situation. I want to go over also to the rookie expectations. They drafted Baylor Shireman he went to, I believe, Creighton, if I remember correctly. He was a shooter out of Creighton. I don't really expect him to play much this year unless there's some type of blowout happening. Then he'll probably get run. The team's floor/ceiling, in my opinion, is again the conference finals or them winning the title again. But again, I'm just iterating again to you guys. Floor/ceiling. The ceiling/floor, I'm being vague because at a later time I will be doing an episode where I give my actual predictions, okay? But I feel pretty safe to say that that's probably Boston's floor/ceiling. Unless some crazy injuries happen, then their floor, I guess more so, would probably be the second round, okay? I guess I'll change the floor to the second round, being in the second round competitive series, and their ceiling being winning the title. My opinion, I think I can speak for most basketball fans, or at least a good number of them. I'm pretty sure there's players on their team that have felt disrespected over the summer. Obviously, we know the whole Jaylen Brown not making the Olympic team. He felt it slighted. Tatum did not really get to play on the Olympic team. So I just think there's going to be some, they're going to be motivated. I think that's an easy thing to call out. And a lot of people were saying that it was the easiest title that's been won because they had all those injuries happen. So I think it's good for basketball. I'm a basketball fan. I'm very objective in my opinion. I'm not subjective by any means necessary. I'm not tied to any team. So for me, it's really good for basketball that Boston's going to come back and be hungry. Because I believe last year the Denver Nuggets weren't as motivated as they should have been coming off of winning a title. But I think Boston is going to be very determined to prove everybody, hey, you guys snubbed us in the Olympics. You did us dirty there. And you guys say our championship basically was washed, So I think this is good for basketball in general. I think they'll come out and really show themselves. Another opinion I got is that something else I said was, I think Porzingis' health was a key last year, and I think, again, it's going to be that this year. That's another one of my opinions. I'm a very big fan of Joe Mazzulla. I also think he'll be motivated this year as well because he should have won Coach of the Year last year, and he didn't. I mean, I guess Mark D deserved it because I did have Mark D as my winner, but Joe Mazzulla won almost 70 games. Okay, so I know he probably feels some type of way, and I've been seeing what he's been saying too on social media and stuff. So I'll be keeping my eyes on Boston. Just going to be motivated. Players to watch for on that team, in my opinion, are the young guys: Jared Springer, Baylor Shireman, two guys who are probably not going to get run. I liked Jared Springer played a little bit in Philadelphia. I liked his little glimpses that he showed, but he's not cracking the rotation. Neither is Shireman. They're not cracking the rotation. Jordan Walsh, we'll see if he can somehow squeak his way. These kids are not getting run this year. I'm gonna just keep it frank. They're not getting no run. Okay, they're just not. Other players to watch for is Tatum. Jason Tatum's 3-point shooting and just overall shot has just fallen off a cliff. I'm expecting him to honestly be more aggressive, getting to the rim more, and not shooting so much. I've always been a big component. I love when Jason Tatum plays within the confinement of free throw line down. I think that's when he's most dangerous, is playing that free throw line down. And so I expect him to do more of that. Personally, this upcoming year is what I'm hoping for. But him just finding his shot as well is something I'm paying attention to. Another player that's on my player to watch, I already kind of named it, Kristaps Porzingis, his health. This team is very thin at the big man position. So him being healthy is going to be very keen going into this year and beyond. Excuse me. And so then also I want to go over their draft capital. 25, 26, 27, they own it. 28, they own it if it's the number 1 pick in 28. 2 to 30, the Spurs own swap rights in 2028. 2029, they get they don't get any. So the most and least favorable in 29 of Boston, Portland, and Milwaukee goes to Portland, and then the second most favorable goes to Washington. So Boston has no first round pick in 29. 20, 30, and 31, they have their own. So Boston still has some flexibility if they wanted to make it. They felt like they need to make any moves. It's out there. It's possible for them. So that's going to be the Boston Celtics. Now, if you feel that what I said about Boston was not enough, or you feel like I missed out on somebody I should have talked more about, or you feel like I didn't keen in on something, please be my guest. Drop in the comment section below and give me your opinion about the Boston Celtics. How do you think they're going to do this year? Again, I was just trying to be vague about my opinion of them. I didn't want to give away too much, so I was being somewhat vague there, and also on their floor and ceiling. But yeah, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think about the Boston Celtics. Next team, the New York Knicks. Last year finished 50-32. Offensive rating finished 7th. Defensive rating finished 10th. Their contract situation, they're over the first apron, but they're under the second apron, but barely. New York, the Knicks' biggest free agent is Julius Randle. He has 1 year left on his deal. He has a player option next summer. It'll be interesting to see what New York wants to do with that, if they're going to keep him, if they're going to try to trade him. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Julius Randle. Another player who's on a 1 year deal is Precious Achiuwa, Keith Bates-Diop, Jericho Sims, Cam Payne, Chuma Okeke. All those players have 1 year left on their deals. So be interesting to see. Again, the biggest domino here to me is Julius Randle and Precious Achiuwa. Those are the two biggest names to me that are the most important. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that to see what New York does with that. Do they keep Julius? Does Julius just decide to option in? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, in my opinion. Rookie expectations. They drafted Tyler Kolek. I personally like Tyler Kolek as a backup point guard. I'm not really sure why New York drafted him unless they don't believe in Deuce McBride, which I like McBride, but obviously he's not the playmaker that Tyler Kolek is by any means. So I'll be trying to see if he ends up trying to steal some minutes from McBride or Cam Payne, but I really like Tyler Kolek, and I liked him when he was at Marquette. Kevin McCullough is another dude they drafted. He went to Kansas, originally started at Texas Tech. I remember watching him at Texas Tech. I'm a Duke Blue Devils fan, so I remember watching him at Texas Tech when they played Duke. They either played in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. I can't remember which one. I think it was the Sweet 16, though. But yeah, I remember watching him play. But I like Kevin McCullough, but he's obviously not getting no run this year either. But we'll see about Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek might be able to steal some minutes. Just so if you haven't watched any of my other episodes, a team's floor and team ceiling, I'm being very vague about because later episode, I will be giving my official predictions. So here, I'm just being very vague, just so you guys know. I'm not giving away my predictions, okay? I'm just trying to be vague as much as I can be. But so New York's floor, in my opinion, is the second round competitive series. I think their ceiling is winning the NBA title. Again, I'm just being vague. I'll give my officials predictions at a later date, okay? My opinion, no doubt, New York is a championship caliber team. My major worries for New York is injuries. That's my number one concern. Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson are two players that really concern me majorly. Even Brunson. Brunson, last year, I feel like his usage rate was extremely high, but for good reasoning. I understand why. But also, he's somebody I'm monitoring too when it comes to injury-wise as well. Just making sure. And Brunson, if I remember correctly, he got hurt in the playoffs, if I remember correctly. My New York fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he got injured in the playoffs against the Pacers, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's my biggest concern for New York, honestly, is literally that. Also, OG Anunoby, he has injury history. So my concerns with them literally is injury, and then also Tom Thibodeau managing their minutes. Like, Tibbs, use your bench more, dude. Like, stop running these dudes in the ground literally in the regular season, okay? So that's my biggest concern for them. But other than that, I would say from 1 through 7, their 7-man rotation is right there with the best of the best in the NBA. And I'm excited to watch them play. Players to watch for me that I'm going to keep my eyes on is Mikal Bridges getting back to that all-defensive player, man. In Brooklyn, they assigned him being the number one option. Mikal Bridges can't be your number one option. I believe Mikal Bridges is better off as your number 3 option. And yeah, so I'm just going to be paying attention to watching him get back to that all defensive mindset. I expect New York for sure to be a top 5 defensive team this year if they're going to be healthy. No doubt. Okay, they were 10th last year. They're for sure going to be top 10. Another player, superstar, Jalen Brunson. Him pacing himself through the regular season. I don't want to see Jalen Brunson taking 20, 22, 23 shots a game. I would like to see him around that 17 to 18 range more so, and him not playing close to 40 minutes. I would like to see him at that 35, 34-minute mark. I'm going to be watching how he paces himself throughout the season because this team goes as Jalen Brunson goes, okay? There's no doubt about it. So I want to talk about their draft capital. 2025. It's to Brooklyn. They have the rights to Detroit's if it's 14 through 30, and also have the rights to Washington's if it's 11 through 30, and that's 2025. 2026, they own their pick. They get Detroit's if it hasn't already been settled. If it's 12 through 30, if it hasn't already been settled in 25, they get it in 26. Same with Washington in 26, 9 through 30, they get that as well in 26 if it hasn't already been settled. 27 goes to Brooklyn. Detroit, if it hasn't been settled again, 10 through 30, it goes to them if it hasn't already been settled. 28, they get the least favorable of their own, Brooklyn and Phoenix, and that's in 28. 29 goes to Brooklyn. 30, they keep. 31 goes to Brooklyn, okay? Now, all my New York fans, if you feel like I missed out on something or I could have spoken more about a certain player, let me know what players you're going to be keeping your eyes on this season. Let me know your opinion on what you think the Knicks floor and ceiling is this year, Drop in the comment section below your opinion on where you think how the Knicks are going to do this year. Again, I had to be vague in my floor, ceiling, and floor, and the team's floor. I just had to be vague because later episode, I will give my opinion. But that's the New York Knicks, okay? On to the next team. The next team is the Philadelphia 76ers. 1 second. Philadelphia last season finished 47-35. Offensive rating finished 14th. Defensive rating finished 11th. Their contract situation, they're over the first apron but under the second. Their contract situations for upcoming people. Kelly Oubre has 1 year left on his deal. He has a player option for next summer. Kenyon Martin Jr. has 1 year left on his deal, but next season he's under contract, but it's non-guaranteed. Andre Drummond has 1 year left on his deal. He has a player option for next summer as well. Eric Gordon, 1 year left on his deal. He has a player option also for next summer. Reggie Jackson just has 1 year left on his deal. Kyle Lowry has 1 year left on his deal, okay? So that's their contract situation in Philadelphia. Rookie expectations. They drafted my guy Jared McCade out of Duke. I'm a Duke Blue Devil fan. At a later time, I'll give you the backstory on why I'm a Duke Blue Devil fan. I'm not a bandwagon or nothing. It's something more personal. But yeah, they drafted my guy Jared McCade out of Duke. I thought that was kind of interesting that they drafted him, but I'm assuming what they're probably going to do is give McCade a lot of, probably 15 to 20 minutes a game and have him probably play a lot more in the regular season than Kyle Lowry. And they're probably going to try to preserve Kyle Lowry is what I'm assuming, is that's why they did that. So, and plus Kyle Lowry probably only has about one more year left on his deal. You know, this is probably it for Kyle Lowry. So, but yeah, so that's my opinion on him. They drafted also Justin Edwards out of Kentucky. He was highly rated out of high school. Justin Edwards, I think, was like the number 3 rated kid in that draft class. He just didn't pan out at Kentucky. I think he's going to be in the G League, and we'll see what he can do down there. And then they also drafted Adam Bona. He's a center, and he went to UCLA. I think he's just an insurance policy for Joel Embiid and for Andre Drummond. So I don't know how much he's actually going to play, but I for sure do believe Jared McCade is going to be a part of the rotation to some extent. The team's floor and ceiling, just so you guys know, team floor and ceiling, if you haven't watched any of my other episodes or any of my other segments, the team's floor and ceiling, I'm being very, very vague because at a later time during a different episode, I will give my official predictions. So I don't want to give away those predictions while giving this team's floor and ceiling. So again, I'm just being vague, okay? Just so you guys know. And even with my opinion, I'm trying to somewhat be vague and watch what I'm saying as well, okay? So the team's floor and ceiling, in my opinion, for Philadelphia is, I believe their floor is another second-round competitive series. I think their ceiling is winning the title. My opinion, I think Philadelphia is also another championship caliber team. It all hinders on Joel Embiid's health, the health of Paul George as well. And also, I also want to make sure that Tyrese Maxey doesn't defer to Paul George. Because I think we all can agree when he was with James Harden was there, he was very much deferring to James Harden quite a bit, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that for him at all. Even when James Harden was on the team, I was pounding at the TV, telling Maxey to be aggressive, but you could tell he was deferring a lot to James Harden, and I don't like that. So I'm hoping, and I'm going to be paying attention to it to see if he's going to defer to Paul George a lot or not, okay? But I really do like their 7-man rotation for this team. And I'm excited to watch them play. I'm excited to see what this team can be. And obviously the biggest thing for them is health. My players to watch for in Philadelphia, I just named it, Joel Embiid. I'm hoping with Joel Embiid that him being a part of the Olympic team and watching Steph, LeBron, Kevin Durant, even being around a young fella like Anthony Edwards, being around, AD and Tatum and all of them, I'm hoping that Joel Embiid is able to take things from those players, really like LeBron, Steph, and KD, specifically like their conditioning, how they take care of their body, their preparation, is what I'm hoping to see out of Joel Embiid, is seeing that he took something from being a part of that Olympic team and implemented with himself. So I'm hoping Joel Embiid comes into training camp nice physically and is ready, Another thing I'm going to be paying attention to, another player, I guess, is who's their go-to guy off the bench. Is it going to be Jared McCade? Are they going to depend on an older veteran like Eric Gordon? I'm going to be keeping my eyes on that. I'm interested to see what that looks like for them. And another player I'm going to keep my eyes on and see if he can crack the rotation. Somebody I'm kind of somewhat high I like is Ricky Council. I would like to see him get more minutes. I really liked him at Arkansas. I thought when Philadelphia drafted him, it was a great grab. And the small sample size of minutes that he has gotten in the NBA on Philadelphia, I've really liked what he's shown, I really have. So I'm hoping to see him get some more minutes in this new a part of this team. I'm really hoping that. Philadelphia's draft capital. I'm going to go over that with you guys. The draft capital in 2025, 1 through 6, they keep it. 7 through 30 goes to OKC. 2026, 1 through 4, they keep it. 5 to 30, if it hasn't already been settled in 25, in 26, 5 through 30 will go to OKC. And then Houston, or it goes to Houston. So it's the least and least favorable of OKC, Houston's 5 through 30, and the Clippers will go to OKC. It's a very funky thing there for 26. 27, 1 through 4, they keep it. 5 through 30 goes to OKC if it hasn't already been settled. 9 through 30 to Brooklyn if they do convey their pick to OKC in 25. 28, 1 through 8, they keep it. And then they also own the Clippers pick. 29, they keep it, or they can swap for the Clippers pick if it's 4 through 30. 30, 2030, and 2031, they keep it, okay? So that's the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, all my Philly fans, if you feel that if I missed out on some players I should have named as people to keep my eyes on, or if you felt that I missed some talking points, let me know what your opinion is on the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, I had to be vague in the opinion and the team's floor and ceiling because I don't want to give away stuff. I don't want to give away my personal opinion quite yet. At a later date, I will do that. But yeah, my Philly fans, drop down in the comment section below. What is your opinion on the Philadelphia 76ers? What areas do you think you would like to see them improve in? And give me your take on what you think they should do with some of those expiring contracts that they're going to have at their disposal. Give me your opinion on the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, leave it down in the comment section below. My next team, it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn finished last season 32-50, 23rd in offensive efficiency, 20th in defensive efficiency. Their contract situation, they're under the first and second apron. 1 year, there are players that are, contracts that are kind of coming up. Ben Simmons has 1 year left on his deal. Bogdanovich has 1 year left on his deal. Dorian Finney-Smith has 1 year left on his deal, but he has a player option next summer. So obviously they're probably going to trade Dorian Finney, but it's probably going to be a team that he wants to go to if he has the player option. So he kind of has some leverage there. Dennis Schroeder has 1 year left on his deal. Cam Thomas is a restricted free agent. He's a restricted free agent next summer, so he's obviously going to want to get paid. Daron Sharp is a restricted free agent. Zaire Williams, restricted free agent. Trent Warford has 1 year left on his deal. Rookie expectations, they have 0 rookies on their team. So, yeah, there's not really much to talk about there. The team's floor and ceiling, if you haven't watched any of my other episodes, I'm being very vague with the team's floor and ceiling simply because at a later date, I will give my opinion, like my actual, predictions on every team. So I'm being vague, okay? Just so you guys know, in the team's floor and ceiling, it's going to be vague. And same with my opinion on the team. It's somewhat going to be vague because I don't want to give away too much of my predictions, okay? So just bear with me. Their floor to me is the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, okay? And their ceiling is the play-in, okay? Again, just being vague. Being very vague. I'm not trying to give away my actual predictions on them. But I'm just going to keep it straight. My opinion on Brooklyn. They did lose their pick in this year's draft, but this draft obviously wasn't nothing to be crazy about. But they did do a great job at finessing the Rockets and giving them back their picks. I thought that was sneaky, quiet, just kind of went under the radar. I thought that was amazing, and salute to their front office for being able to pull that off. I think at this point, it's time to start flipping some of these players. Ben Simmons, you could probably get, nickels on the dollar for Ben Simmons. So get off of Ben Simmons. Obviously, get off of Cam Johnson. Get off of Dorian Finney-Smith. And let's just start tanking and getting ready for trying to get Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey or VJ Edgecombe or Ron Harper Jr. or Nolan Triati. Let's get into that sweepstakes for those players, okay? And that's what I expect them to do. I expect them to do that. Players to watch for in Brooklyn, I just named them. Ben Simmons. Can Ben Simmons show us that he still loves basketball? That's where I'm at with the whole Ben Simmons thing. It's unfortunate because Ben Simmons and I are the same age. Ben Simmons was in my graduating class, so I watched Ben Simmons very closely in high school, and it's crazy because in the Les Schwab tournament, if my high school would have won their first round game, they would have played Ben Simmons in that second round. So I've watched Ben Simmons very closely, but yeah, can he show us that he still loves basketball? Also, I'm gonna be paying attention to their new head coach. How does I think his name is Jordy? I think it's Jordy Hernandez. I think his last name is. I think it's Hernandez or Gomez or something. I'm interested to see how he does. How does this new coach transition from being an assistant? He's a first-time head coach. I'm going to be interested to just watch how he does. Can he reel in this team and galvanize the troops to make them a competitive team to some extent? Another player that I'm going to keep my eyes on is Cam Thomas. Defensively, and also playmaking. Can Cam Thomas become somewhat of just even an average defender in the NBA, and also playmaking? Because he's undersized, so he's gonna have to. He doesn't have to play the one, I guess, per se, but he's a scoring two. He's an undersized two right now. But can Cam Thomas show us some promise in playmaking? It's gonna be something I'm gonna be monitoring this year, because he's a great scorer already. I think that's no doubt about it. I've been felt that since he was at LSU when he led. I believe he led the SEC in scoring as a freshman. I know he averaged like 20 a game at LSU, because I remember watching him, and when they took him, I was like, okay, they got a little score. Okay, I'm gonna keep my eyes on him, and he's proven me right. I'm gonna go over their draft compensation and try and it's kind of messy. So bear with me, Brooklyn fans. Bear with me. 2025 they have their own, and also they have Milwaukee's 5 through 30. They also get Milwaukee's pick 5 through 30. They also get New York's pick, and then they get the least favorable of Phoenix and Houston if Houston's lands 1 through 10. Yeah, it's very complicated, very messy in 25. 26, they got their own. 27, they have their own, or Houston's. They have a swap. Houston swap for Brooklyn. Yeah, so either their own or Houston. Houston owns the swap rights to that. They get New York's pick in 27, and then Philadelphia 9 through 30 if Philadelphia's pick, first round pick in 25 conveys to OKC. 28, they get Phillies 9 through 30 if it did not convey in 2027. It's very messy. That's super messy too. I'm going to the next one. 2029, they get their own, and then the least favorable of Dallas, Phoenix, and Houston, and then also they get the Knicks pick in 29. 2030, they just have their own. 31, they have their own in the Knicks pick. So Brooklyn, obviously in 25 is the big draft for them, and then 26, we'll see if they can build off of that. So my Brooklyn fans, again, I'm sorry I had to be somewhat vague, but I didn't want to give away my predictions. If you feel that I could have talked about other players on the team or other topics about the team that you feel like I missed, please, down in the comment section below, leave your opinion about the Brooklyn Nets. Let me know what your opinion is about them, what you think they should do, and just let me know what your opinion is about the Brooklyn Nets, okay? And so the next team that I'm going to go into is the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors last year finished 25 and 57. Offensively finished 24th. Defensively finished 25th. Their contract situation, they're under both aprons. And their contract situations with their players. Chris Boucher has 1 year left. Bruce Brown has 1 year left, maybe a trade chip. Scotty Barnes' extension kicks in next year. Davion Mitchell is a restricted free agent. Ojai Abaji is extension eligible starting next summer. Garrett Temple has 1 year left on his deal, and Bruno Fernandez has 1 year left on his deal. The rookie expectations. Jacoby Walter, I expect him to get a couple minutes a game, probably about 7 to 10 minutes a game. Obviously, this team is not going to be ultra competitive this year. But I do expect him to get some time, maybe during garbage time, to show what he can do. At Baylor, he showed me glimpses, but he's not. I don't know what to make of Jacoby Walter quite yet. I don't know what to make of him quite yet. But Jacoby Walter's a rookie. Those are my expectations for him. They also drafted Jonathan Mugbo out of, I think he went to San Francisco University, if I remember correctly. He was actually one of my sleepers so I did a pre-draft episode, and if you decide to go check out the pre-draft episode, I'm sorry, because the person that I had on the pod, his microphone was really bad, but mine was pretty good. So if you can somehow get over that, I would go check out what I had to say about him in that. He was one of my pre-draft sleepers. And I think he may be able to find minutes in this rotation. He has a very high motor. I liked him just as a motor guy. He reminded me kind of a little bit of like a Kenneth Faried a little bit. But I really liked him. So I'm going to be seeing if he actually can crack the rotation at in any way, shape, or form. But I liked his motor. He's just a motor guy to me. The team's floor and ceiling, if you haven't seen any of my other episodes or you're just now tuning into this episode, I'm being very vague with the team's floor and ceiling, simply because I don't want to give away my personal predictions, because I'm going to do an episode when we get closer to the NBA season to give my official predictions. So just mind you, I'm being vague with the team's floor and ceiling, and also with my opinion a little bit as well, okay? So the team's floor and ceiling, they're in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes when it comes to their floor. They're also a lottery. I think their ceiling is a lottery / play-in team. Again, doesn't mean I think they're going to do these things at all. I will give it, like I said, a later date. But yeah, so I think they're kind of in that sweepstakes I don't think Cooper Flag would be necessarily a good person to put next to Scotty Barnes. I personally would like to see a scoring guard, like a scoring forward, so like a Ace Bailey or Ron Harper Jr. or VJ Edgecombs or Nolan Torreari. I would like to see one of those 4 players with Scotty Barnes instead, personally. That's my personal preference, but that's besides the point. So, my opinion on this team, this is Scotty Barnes' team, no doubt. I do think he's going to continue to improve. He's shown improvement since he's entered the NBA, and I enjoy watching him play. I do believe they will get a young, promising guard in the draft. I kind of just named a couple of them, either young, promising guard or forward in this draft. I do believe they will do that. And I just think they need to keep just building around Scotty Barnes. And no disrespect to RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley, but these are not guys that, in my opinion, can be your number 2 on a championship team. Okay, just respectfully, they can't be. So again, guys like Ace Bailey, Ron Harper Jr., VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, players like that I would rather see, or Nolan Triardi, like I named earlier. Those are players I would rather see around Scotty Barnes, because to me, Scotty Barnes is a guy that can do a little bit of everything, but he's not going to erupt for 30, 35 points. Whereas some of these guys that I just named to you, I think those are players that are score first mentality, and I would really like a guy like that with Scotty Barnes, and I think that's what's going to happen. I do, because I think they did good with getting Grady Dick, because he's going to be a spot-up shooter. I expect him to make a year or 2 leap too. He shot really poor his rookie year, but if you know college basketball and if you've seen Grady Dick play, his jumper's not broken, and he's a really good free throw shooter, and he can shoot. Okay, he's a way better than, I think this last season. I think he shot like 34% from the 3, 35% from 3. Excuse me, and I don't have numbers in front of me, by the way, just so you guys know. But Grady Dick's better than that. He's like an 85, 84% free throw shooter. Grady Dick's a much better shooter, so I expect this year for his numbers to come up pretty substantially. So that's my opinion on them. Players to watch, I just named them. Scotty Barnes, can he continue to make another leap in year 4? I think he can easily tap 25 points a game. His usage is going to go up this year, so I expect him to be about 24, 25 points a game this year. I just named him also. Grady Dick is another player that I'm interested to see, can he be in a more featured role. I really do expect his numbers to come up. Last year, he only shot 43% from the field, and I was right. He did shoot 37% from 3. But he's better than that, in my opinion, when it comes to just overall shooting, so I expect him to show more in that end. And then last but not least, Emmanuel Quickley. Does Emmanuel Quickley have another gear that he can hit? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Emmanuel Quickley can be your number 2 guy, but I'm just interested to see. Now he'll have a full season as a starting point guard. Let's see if he has another gear he can kick, okay? Also want to go over their draft capital. 2025, they own their own. 26, they have their own and Indiana's pick if it lands 5 through 30. 27, they have their own. And then if the Indiana pick didn't convey in 26, they'll get it in 27 with the same stipulations, 5 through 30. 28 through 31, they have their own picks. Now, my Toronto fans, if you feel like that I missed out on some information about some players, or I should have talked about a different player that you feel like I should keep my eyes on, who I should be watching for, or just give me your overall opinion about the Toronto Raptors. I'm always open to listening and learning from people and having open conversation and open dialogue with people. I'm just willing to do it, because I think that also gives us as humans, through experience, opportunities to progress and to learn and to grow as people, So drop down in the comment section below, Toronto, give me your opinion on the Toronto Raptors. But other than that, next time you'll see me is next week when I'll be covering and we'll be diving into the Western Conference. Other than that, I want to thank you for joining me today. PJ out.